fly by love, no.
Fly by love, no late night.
Look, and she don't wanna fly by love, no. Fly by love, no.
Fly by love, no late night.
Nothing like lost love. She already lost love.
You already know the vibe. Welcome everybody to On Go in the Morning. Salute to everybody. Salute to everybody. Hopefully everybody is in a good mood. Hopefully we all are at least trying to have a good day. All right. But right now we have some serious developments on a story that's coming out of the Washington Post investigation involving the death of an ICE detainee. Now, a death that the medical examiner is now likely to classify as a homicide, according to recorded calls that have surfaced. Now, I'm going to walk you through exactly what the Washington Post is reporting and break down what those recorded calls reveal and explain why this causes and just why this whole case actually is raising the major questions about the use of force and accountability inside the ICE detention facilities. Now, we'll also take a look at Don Lemon's reaction to this report as well, because he was chiming in on it as well, where he highlights some key details. And I do want to get the audio because there's supposed to be some leaked audio from some detainees from inside these facilities that's talking about the conditions, talking about a lot of things that they're dealing with being in there, as well as other people being unalived as well. So this is an important story. So I do just want to make sure that you're all locked in. So let's get it all locked in. I want y'all to drop y'all likes, subscribe to the channel. Make sure y'all are subscribed to OOTA On Go, OOTAONGO. We are getting the world on go. All right. So look, this is the story that we will be getting into. Okay, as you can see, the medical examiner likely to classify the death of the ICE detainee as a homicide, as recorded calls say. All right. Cool. So let's get into this read real quick. Salute to everybody. Like I said, make sure that y'all all are dropping your likes and doing that when y'all watch this video. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Could just skip through the fluff. Let's get that out of here. Okay, cool. They said when U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement announced that January 3rd, death of detainee Geraldo Lunas Campos at a Texas detention camp, the agency said staff observed him in distress and it gave no cause of death. An employee of El Paso's county office of the medical examiner told Lunas Campos' daughter this week that the subject of the results of the toxicology report, the office is likely to classify the death as a homicide according to the recording of the conversations. In the recording, which the daughter shared with the Washington Post, the employee said a doctor there is listing the preliminary cause of death as asphyxia due to neck and chest compressions, which means Lunas Campos did not get enough oxygen because of pressure on his neck and chest. Pending the results of a toxicology report, the staffer said on the recording, our doctor is believing that we're going to be listing the manner of death as a homicide. A 55-year-old Cuban immigrant, Lunas Campos died following a struggle with detention staff, according to an eyewitness account and an internal ICE document reviewed by the Post. A representative from the medical examiner declined to comment on the recording or share any findings about the man's death with the Post, saying that the information can only be shared with family members. In an email Thursday evening, Tricia McLaughlin, Assistant Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security, said that Lunas Campos died after attempting to take his own life.
Oh, no, you can't be serious. That is some bullshit right there.
Come on, stop. Campos violently resisted the security staff and, hold up, wait, what's going on? Are they fast forward? He moving? Where he's at? You see it just jumped? Hold up, wait. Campos. Wait. Okay, kid. It just skipped past. All right. Campos violently resisted the security staff and continued to attempt to take his life, McLaughlin said. Is this true? That's what I want to know. During the ensuing struggle, Campos stopped breathing and lost consciousness. Medical staff was immediately called and responded after. You see how we keep jumping? Why doing that? What the hell's going on? Let me just keep my finger on the button. Hold up, son. Because it keeps jumping. Why the hell does it keep doing that? Hold up. Let me zoom out a little bit of something, bro. Because it's jumping. All right, where we at? He struggled ensued. Campo stopped breathing and lost consciousness. The medical staff immediately called and responded after repeated attempts to resuscitate him. EMTs declared him deceased on the scene. McLaughlin declined to provide additional documentation, calling, do you see what's happening, right? Calling the matter an active investigation. A homicide ruling from the medical examiner would almost certainly draw attention to Camp East Montana, a colossal makeshift tent encampment on the Mexican border, where migrants have reported substandard conditions and physical abuse, and ICE's own inspectors have cited dozens of violations of federal detention standards. Now, Lunas Campos also comes amid nationwide upheaval over the fatal shooting of a U.S. citizen by an ICE officer in Minneapolis last week, an event that for many has raised questions about the training and oversight of the ICE officers helping to carry out the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Court records show Lunas Campos was convicted of several crimes, including for aggravated assault with a weapon, and in 2003, first-degree sexual abuse involving a child. Sir, what's going on? Under 11 years of age.
Oh no, you can't be serious. That's some bullshit right there.
Jesus Christ, man. Heart goes out to that child. Regardless of what the hell is going on. ICE arrested Lunas Campos in a planned enforcement operation in July, saying in a news release that his criminal record spanned from at least 1997 throughout 2015, and that his luck has finally run out. Now, Lunas Campos had been placed in a segregated housing unit after becoming disruptive while waiting in line for medication at the camp in East Montana facility in El Paso. ICE said in a statement last week, later that same day, that staff observed Lunas Campos in distress and contacted emergency medical personnel who were unable to save his life and pronounced him dead, according to that same statement. Now, listen, though, this is another thing. When it's not just in detention centers and prisons and certain things like that, right? We understand that officers there may use force, but we know as well, when you have certain things like this right here on your record, understand that people in these places is fathers, even the inmates, people that's in prison. Some of these people have never seen their children. Some of these people never seen their wives. They've never seen a woman in their life. They have not seen no woman besides the people that they are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, so such as correctional officers, such as guidance counselors, or whatever the case, people that's teaching in the prisons. Bro, they will do something very, very bad to you, not just a guard. Anybody will do something bad to you when you have these types of crimes on your jacket. That's why it leads into another guy, which is a passport, bro, named Floyd Bryant, who got arrested, and they charging him basically saying that he had something to do with a SEX ring that involves a 6-year-old child, okay? And people online caping and capping for this guy, making some kind of, I don't know what they're making for him, but they telling the guy don't snitch. I tell a guy, you better go snitch. The hell, you're a part of weirdo stuff. If you could let somebody else know about some other people that's involved with some weirdo stuff, you saved us some damn trouble. So let's not do that, especially if we have children. Even if you don't have children, we need to be out here protecting children. Point blank. Lunas Campos had been placed in a segregated housing unit after becoming disrupted while waiting in line for medication at the Camp East Montana facility in El Paso. ICE said in a statement last week. Later the same day, staff observed Lunas Campos in distress and contacted. Okay, cool. This is Lunas Campos and his family. God bless his soul. You know what I mean? God bless his family. Condolences to his family. You know, most definitely. They said that him and his family in Rochester, New York, at that time in that photo. ICE statement did not contain any detail about the cause of death. An internal ICE log reviewed by the Post documented a series of events about Lunas Campos's case, noting that his death, an attempt to contact his family, the notification of the Cuban consulate, and the transportation of his body by the medical examiner. The last event log 6 days after his death references an immediate use of force incident, but provides no date of that incident or any details. In an interview with the Post, Santos Jesus Flores, A man who says he was detained in the segregation units the day that Lunas Campos died said that he saw at least 5 guards struggling with Lunas Campo after he refused to enter the segregation unit, complaining that he didn't have his medications. Now, Flores said that he saw the guards choking Lunas Campos and heard Lunas Campos repeatedly saying, "No puedo respirar," like he can't breathe. In Spanish, I can't breathe. Medical staff tried to resuscitate him for an hour, after which they took his body away, Flores said. Now, he said that I cannot breathe. I cannot breathe. After that, we do not hear his voice anymore. And that's it, said Flores, who had contacted a family member of Lunas Campos, who in turn put him in touch with the Post reporter. The Post confirmed Flores was in the camp, East Montana, through ICE's detainee locator. Now, deaths in ICE's detention centers have occurred with increasing frequency. Now, in recent months, as President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown floods these facilities with record numbers of detainees, at least 30 people have died in detention last year, the highest in 2 decades. And Lunas Campos is one of 4 who has died in the first 9 days of 2026 alone. Crazy. According to ICE, which posts information about all the detainees' deaths. I'm skipping like this. All the detainees' deaths on its websites. Okay, ICE detainees' death by month. So this shows it by month. January 2. Okay, hold up. 4 people died in ICE custody in the first 9 days of 2026 alone. Now includes the 2 detainees who died in a sniper attack on the Dallas ice field. Okay, so that also includes those. So this goes to show you a little graph. Now, among more than 280 documented deaths in ICE detentions since 2004, pardon me, there have been only a handful of confirmed instances of detainees killed by someone else, according to Andrew Free, a researcher and lawyer who has represented families of immigrants who died in detention. Last year, 2 detainees were killed by a gunman who fired on an ice field office in Dallas. I guess that's the 2 that they're talking about, in an attack officials said was politically motivated. And in 2013, an immigrant detained in Puerto Rico died after being stabbed by other detainees multiple times. Now, Jeanette Pagan Lopez, the mother of 2 of Lunas Campos' children, said that she's been contacted by agents from the FBI who told her they are conducting an investigation into the death. A spokesperson for the FBI declined to comment. "I know it's a homicide," Lopez said. "The people that physically harmed him should be held accountable." Lunas Campos' death raises new questions about ICE's reliance on private detention contractors, which the government entrusts to manage security, food, transportation, and medical care for the vast majority of immigrant detainees. Those companies have taken on a larger role during Trump's second term, winning contracts worth tens of millions of dollars to reopen former private prisons and build makeshift tent encampments to accommodate the surge in detainees. Now, federal standards for immigrant detention say that force may only be used against detainees after all reasonable efforts to resolve a situation have failed. In most cases, the use of force should be calculated, where staff members take time to assess possible ways to resolve the situation. The standard says an immediate use of force is permitted only when a detainee's behavior constitutes a serious and immediate threat. Now, representatives from Acquisition Logistics, the Virginia contractor that oversees Camp East Montana, and Akima Global Services, a company that employs guards there, did not respond to requests for comment. Now, Lunas Campos was paroled into the United States in Miami in 1996, according to ICE. An immigration judge ordered his removal in 2005, but the government said that it could not obtain travel documents for him. Now, for years, he lived in Rochester, New York, where he had 3 children and 1 grandchild, said Lopez, who separated from Lunas Campos when their kids were young, but stayed in close contact with him. She said He worked periodically delivering furniture and as a roofer, but it was hard for him to find work because of his immigration status and his criminal record. Lunas Campos is the second person to die while in custody at Campo, East Montana, which now ranks as the largest ICE detention facility, according to Eternal ICE records, with more than 3,800 detainees. In interviews with the American Civil Liberties Union and other nonprofit groups in November, several immigrants detained at Camp East Montana claimed that they were beaten by guards for complaining, demanding medical treatment, refusing to eat, or for resisting deportation. Now, there is always the risk of retaliation here for trying to ask for our rights to be respected. One of the detainees, a 35-year-old Cuban man, said in a sworn declaration to the groups that he provided his name in the declaration, and the ACLU shared the information with the Post last month on the condition that the name not be published for fear of retaliation. Now, people at the camp in East Montana placed about 90 emergency calls between August 17th and December 1st, about 5 per week, according to 911 call logs that El Paso Times obtained through public records requests. The callers reported a variety of emergency medical problems, including chest pain, seizures, and breathing problems. The newspaper reported at least 5 calls stemmed from suicide attempts. Whoa. And this is a real story, man. This is a real big story. But hold on. Let me just get to Don Lemon and just see exactly what Don Lemon is talking about. Let me just see what Don Lemon is talking about, because I do want to hear some audio and what that audio is. Let's just see what this audio is. Cool. Let's put this on the board.
In Texas, or at least stopped on a traffic stop. He was taken to a facility in Texas. He talked about how horrible the conditions were. And I thought that this person didn't get medical treatment when the Washington Post thing, but I was a little bleary-eyed because this person also talks about the conditions, but he also talks about not getting the inhumane conditions, but also not getting medical attention, being denied medication.